I've decided that the gravel road looks really good over top of, let's see, don't tell you the wrong thing. I've decided that the gravel road looks really good over top of the coffee bean for the metal. So I'm kind of brushing it over the top. And I mean, the whole thing's metal, but it really seems to make really makes it pop, you know? So I think you can see it on this one, how much it popped out. So I'm just using a little bit on the end of the LePetite and brushing over top. And just hitting all of the spots on it like that. And it doesn't have to be perfect because the whole thing's metal, of course, but then you can kind of dry brush over and feather it out if you want to. I really want this whole thing to be a canvas of blended color, where nothing is one particular color, because it's old, right? So let's just blend it. I mean, there's multiple metals, there's wood, and you know, I just want it to kind of blend together and yet be contrasting enough that you really see all the accents on each piece. And the great thing is this little brush gets in all those grooves, so if I hit the wrong spot, I can put a little bit on the tip, pounce it off, and then I can go back in and hit inside and get those edges where I want it to stay dark. Just like that. I can't tell if you guys can see it on there. I'm trying to see if it's gonna work. There, zoomed in a little bit. There. But yeah, it kind of just, you know, you get that really old look. Worn, been wet, been handled. But this tip gets right around there and in the edges where I want it dark. And then I go back where the other parts are, you know, the different kind of metal, and I can go blend them back in a different color. But the base of the chocolate underneath, it almost gives it a hint of rust, which is cool. So it gives you these layers. So I've got 3 different colors right now blending around in here. The base is chocolate. The darker color is gravel road, or well, excuse me, is coffee bean that I did all this dark stuff in right now, and I will blend more out after I get this started, but I wanted to see how these colors are blending together. And then the kind of what kind of looks silver gray, kind of zinc, that is gravel road over top. So they're just all kind of blended together, and I think it's going to look really good this way, but I want to keep these other places dark, so I'm going to blend a little bit back in with my brush and put it in those edges with this point. It's just easier with that pointed tapered end. Yeah. So I know I kind of started in the middle here. This is kind of the result of Facebook Live shut out twice, so I gave up on that. Just not a very good connection here in the workshop today, but I thought I'd stop in here and just make a video. I kind of promised, you know, I'd try to make a tutorial video, so I'm going to talk through this a little bit and share it with you guys. But these are the colors so far, and I'm really liking them. I like this gravel road, that kind of gray over top of the dark brown of the coffee bean. It looks good together. I'm going to go ahead and spray this out because it's really warm here in the building today. And it's drying quickly. And I just want to blend all these together, and water's your best friend when you're blending. When it comes to this kind of blending, it makes it so great and so much movement in it. So it's not like something that you just did a straight line blend movement in it. Okay. Now, let's see here. I have my big best dang brush. I haven't got to use this one yet. It is a great blending brush. I have other friends that are raving about it. They love, love, love it. So, I'm going to give it a go. I think I'll probably use it more on the top and right here in this middle part. But then as for bristle brushes, make sure they're good and saturated so that you get good flow with your paint. You don't want it to suck up all the paint. But I'm going to pull out the mud puddle. That's lighter than the chocolate. And I think the chocolate and the mud puddle together are going to look really good. Give me a little bit of a highlight. Kind of like the gray of the gravel road is a bit of a highlight. I think this is going to be a pretty highlight too. But you guys are going to see it in real time with me because, well, it's just the way I roll. So let's see, where do I want to start? Let's start here. It's a big brush, so I'm going to put some in place. I dabbed a bunch off first because I didn't want to get too much on here. So I'm going to do this and put some in where you can see the chocolate too. And then go back and blend this. This will be the highlight. And I'm going to blend in the chocolate with this, but I want to get a little bit in here first. Create some texture, and then I'll blend the chocolate in with it. Alright, getting some in place. Putting this in a little bit more right here. Alright, and I want to dab and swirl. I don't want straight lines. Nothing is straight about aging. It's all over. It's varied. It moves. When you're doing something that's aged and weathered, you just simply want to dab and swirl. I mean, if you have to get into a spot and you have to go up and down, that's different. But just pounce and swirl. Alright. Now I got some highlight in there. I probably should have started with that first, but I generally do things backwards. That's okay. You can learn from me. Maybe you won't have to do as many steps. But I like adding in a little bit of extra of the chocolate on top of the dark color that I already did in all the edges to create that aging technique, that aging look. And then I'll put in the chocolate back over the edges. You know, I just, putting the chocolate underneath was a good base because then I could go darker or lighter and it would be easy to blend out either way. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm just going to blend this out. A little bit more. And you see all those rivets. You guys see all those rivets? I don't know if you can see them or not, but look at all these rivets. They're everywhere. They're all over this one. This one's covered in metal. And I think it's going to look really good. And I'll go back with a little bit in this corner here. I like those really dark corners. dab a little bit off, and then go back in and just blend. Smooth it out. I need a little bit of water. I want them to blend together smoothly. I don't want to see one then the other then the other. I just want them to kind of mold together as one. Just like that. Cool, right? I like that. A little bit more of the coffee bean right here. Just like that. Kind of frames it a little bit. That's where it might have gotten banged and bumped around before it lost its handles after. Because this one doesn't have any handles. But I think that's pretty cool. You know, I wanted to look, I had that really moody, weathered look to it. I think that's pretty cool. Okay, let's spray my lids here. My lids are drying out already. I work out of my lids as palettes usually, guys. It's just easier. And then you don't overuse your paint. You just gotta make sure you keep your other paint covered in the meanwhile. Oh, I grabbed the wrong brush. Let's do it right. I don't want all that in it. Put that over there so I don't mess up. But now that brown's blending into the mud puddle, and into the gravel road that's up here on the edge, and it's blending into the coffee bean. And using the extra water kind of, it kind of makes it, you can see it kind of dripped a little bit and ran and left a line. And you can leave that in there. It's kind of cool. It helps to make it look more authentic, like water did run down it and stain it and sit for a long time. Just like that. All right. Get a little bit more chocolate. Let's see. I didn't shake this lid. Gives me just enough to work with while it's on there. Make sure the other ones stay covered back there inside that other case I have. Alright, and I'm going to pounce it off onto a plate and add a little bit in each one of these. Let me turn you this way a little bit. Ooh, sliding too fast. Sorry, guys. Alright, some through here. Over some of this lighter. That mud puddle is real light, but it's a great highlighter. Alright. And just start swirling and pouncing and blending it together. Just like that. This is a great blender, you guys. Oh my goodness, there's so many bristles, so it like helps cover area, and it's great. I like it. It's so soft too. Alright, I don't want to pull off the other paint. I'm starting to pull it back. I'll let that sit for a minute while I do this one. It really is like painting on a canvas. It's just a three-dimensional one. Oops. Got a string. If you've just placed paint on it, this is water-based paint. It's VOC free, which is great, safe. Even if you are a pregnant mama, it's going to be safe for you to use. But the cool thing about this is, see, it's sitting here and it's got some little extra dots that I just pounced on there. And you can blend those out still with a little bit of extra water. It'll reactivate it. You can just blend it. Just like that. Yeah. Now it's not real dark everywhere, and it looks like there's old fingerprints and handprints, you know, like from where it would have been used over time. Alright, I'm blend this out a little bit. I think I'm going to add a little bit of coffee bean back into the edges of this one. I buffed it out too much. I'm too tight into myself here. Trying to fit in the camera lens. Get the petite. LePetite. Alright. So I want to get down here in this corner where I'm kind of blended out too far. And get it back in there. And just blend it in. Like I mentioned before, there's all kinds of blending and options that you can do. This is just my preference, especially for this one, is to pounce it on and then swirl it to give it that motion and movement. To me, it looks more natural. It gives it it doesn't have a bunch of straight lines like it's been hand painted that way. Of course, I want these brackets to all be dark. So I want to take this and get it right down into the edges. So it goes all the way around the middle bracket. Just like that. Isn't that great? Oh, I love it. All right. This stuff is fun, guys. I don't know if you've tried it before, but man, grab something that you can play with some paint on and try it. It's great. Grab you some new brushes. Treat yourself to some brushes and go for it. There we go. Well, let's go back down here with the gravel road, and I want to hit these middle brackets. I think I'll go over the rest of them, this part again, on the like fleur-de-lis shape. I think I'll go back over it and put the darker color just because it'll look more worn that way. Get some of that off my brush. Pull some of it over here. Well, you can't see me, I'm sorry. Just blend in some of it over here on each one of these brackets. A little too much on this one. Just blend it back off. And back over here. When you get too much, you just run your brush over where you got too much and pull it to other sides, and then you don't have to end up wiping it all off. You can wipe off the excess, but this way it doesn't go to waste. Just like that. All right. Now, get some on the front of this one. Oh, I wish I could hear the stories that this thing could tell. Can you imagine the stories it could tell? Alright, a little bit more. Let me dab that off. I don't need that much. There we go. Just like that. Let's do this one up here. This changes fast, huh? Just a little bit of that gravel road. It's crazy how fast it works. Just a little drop. These Dixie Belle brushes are so great too, you guys. I know that they're an investment, but if you decide you're going to want to paint, or you're going to start your own little business, or if you want to do it for a hobby but you really enjoy it, this makes it so much more enjoyable, because you know you're not picking bristles out every time you go and pounce something on there. You're not they work really well with these products. Their smooth finish that they give is incredible. You don't have to keep fussing with them, and they clean up beautifully with our scrubby soaps. I'm dampening my other brushes just to keep them damp while I'm working on these. My workshop lights are very, very warm. Ooh, too much water. That's okay, I'll dab it back off. There we go. Now I can go back over it and with the gravel road and get the edges so that it won't matter. But look how much faster it is. I mean, I could paint it with an artist brush and be real careful, but that's not what this look isn't about that. There we go. I think I've got all of that metal pretty good. I think it's time to move on to the next part. Alright, well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope it helps inspire you to do something fun, something different, something that looks aged and worn. Happens pretty fast. So if you have questions, message me and I'll be happy to help you. If you're looking for these colors, I will post them in with it. The base is chocolate. I followed all the dark areas with coffee bean, and then for the coffee bean I added gravel road, the gray, and the highlight spots were done with mud puddle. So those are some of the colors I chose for today. You can use any colors you want. You can add other colors to go in with them. Turquoise and like vintage duck egg would be great to go along to complement these colors. That would be a really cool pop of color. You could do other things to bring in other colors with it. So I hope you have a great day, and I will see y'all later. Take care.